Shiva and Prana Yoga. Prana Yoga is one of the most important yoga traditions and an integral part of the worship of Lord Shiva, who represents the highest immortal prana of pure consciousness beyond time, space and karma. Shiva and the unitary prana. Shiva is the unitary prana behind the dualistic movements of the breath as inhalation and exhalation, or the dualistic movements of the mind through attraction and repulsion. To reach the higher prana of Shiva, we must first balance the ordinary dualities of prana, energy and emotion within ourselves. This is not an easy task and requires that we develop a power of concentration, attention and detachment relative to the body, senses and mind. This unitary prana flows in a state of balance and peace, composure and claim. If we can merge into the unitary prana, we can go beyond the breath, which is to go beyond life and death. The unitary prana of Shiva is the prana of prana, the breath behind the breath. The unitary breath of Shiva pervades all space and light. It is the basis of the universal life. It is the very breath of Brahman and the breath of consciousness. Sounds of the breath are sounds of Shiva. The breath reflects certain natural sounds that connect to certain letters of the alphabet. Most important of pranic sounds are the S sounds and H sounds that have a hissing or air-type quality, such as the yogic prana mantra Soham. Inhalation as a drawing in of energy reflects the mantra So, while exhalation and the release of energy marks the mantra Ham. So indicates receptive or lunar energy, while Ham reflects projective or solar energy. Soham is also a Shiva mantra. The yogi works to balance the Soham current within. This can be done in two primary ways. The first is to expand these natural energies with So as inhalation and Ham as exhalation. The second is to reverse these energies with Ham as inhalation and Sa as exhalation. The Soham approach reflects a nurturing lunar energy. The Ham-Sa approach reflects a purifying solar energy. Both have their places in yoga practice. Shiva is not only Soham but also Ham-Sa. Once inhalation and exhalation are balanced, they become withdrawn into an inner peace. Then these same sounds Ham-Sa Soham continue to reverberate within the spine and the Sushumna as the natural sounds of the self, Soham hi am I, and Ham-Sa, I am he, referring to the Supreme Self. These sounds can also develop into Shiva Hum, I am Shiva. This is the inner flow of the non-dualistic breath, which is the breath of Shiva. Shiva Prana Yoga practices. There are many Prana Yoga traditions connected to Lord Shiva. They are reflected in several yoga practices. Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing, is the main practice for balancing the pranic energies within us. It can be used to balance the right and left or solar and lunar nadis, as well as the Agni and Soma energies in the body overall or in the different chakras. Use the mantra Ham for breathing through the right nostril and Sa also for breathing through the left, So for inhalation and Sa for exhalation. Ham-Sa Soham Pranayama. As Shiva is prana, the natural sound of the breath is the name of Shiva. Follow the natural sounds of the breath as Ham-Sa or Soham, hi am I or I am he, referring to our Shiva nature. Or simply Shiva Hum or I am Shiva. Ham-Sa is more solar and Soham more lunar in its energy. The same mantras can be used to hold the prana and the Sushumna. Internally chant Ham-Sa Soham while meditating in silence and holding the awareness in the spine. Yoga Nidra, the sleep of Shiva. This consists of withdrawing into our inner core prana and consciousness, or the state of Shiva that holds all knowledge and all power. It is the ultimate practice of pratyahara. It requires that we merge our senses and mind into our prana that is withdrawn into the Hridaya, or the spiritual heart. This is a much deeper level of practice of Yoga Nidra than what is usually taught today under the name the breath of the witness, Sekshi Prana. Consciously observing the breath, one moves into the state of the seer, which is the immortal witness beyond the breath. One enters into the unitary power of consciousness that is beyond birth and death, breath and no breath. Learn to recognize your inner awareness as the breath behind the breath. You do not breathe. It is the body and the lungs that breathe. You are the awareness and energy behind the breath and not limited to its fluctuations. Finally we can just merge into Lord Shiva as Mrityunjaya, the conqueror of sorrow, death and rebirth, either through devotional surrender or recognition of the Supreme Shiva or the Supreme Self as our true nature. American Institute of Vedic Studies.